Toffees in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Welcome back to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. It's the final few games of the season. We're almost there. I think most of us are already knackered. We're ready for the season to be over. The table's pretty much set in stone. But before we get deep dive into the 1-1 draw up at Walton Hall Park against Everton, I am joined by my two partners in crime, and that is Adam and Matt. Adam, how are you, sir?
I think that pretty sums up. I'm agree. I just the season's over, isn't it? I mean, this is the thing. We're going to dive deep into the pod, but it said a lot about the season. That when the game ended, I sort of didn't feel anything. Just sort of felt just like, and so thankfully the men, in a weird twist of fate, the men pulled through and gave me something to celebrate at the end of the Sunday. Thankfully, because if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't also the fact that Chelsea are in the mud again, which is always nice, it wouldn't have been a great weekend. So, but I'm looking forward to dissecting it this evening.
I know I'm emotionally drained from both football teams at this point. But I will get into that a little bit later because I've got a funny story for you guys. I'm also joined by the marvellous Matt. Matt, how was your trip to Everton?
Eventful, and it was. I think we'll probably come on to that a little bit further down the line. But I really enjoyed going to Walton Hall Park. But there was a lot of issues. I've had to send the club a email about how bad it was. It's the first time I've actually had to send something to Everton to say, look, you need to look at this in the future. It's not not as bad as Leigh Sports Village, and it's not as bad as, say, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But
that's just bad in general. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Besides from that, yeah, it was fine. It was quite an interesting weekend. We talked briefly a little bit about me and my Everton roots, quote unquote. But yeah, it's still top of the league, which I'm happy with, keeping those clean sheets. And it works out that we only need to win probably our next two games, and we're winners. So Everton finally going to have a trophy to lift up.
Hey, and our very old goalkeepers union's got to keep them clean sheets. Good luck,
Absolutely.
Honestly.
Touching with life.
The news is a bit slow, but breaking story came out on the BBC from Emma Sanders this afternoon. Project ACL is up and running. New research is being carried out with WSL clubs on anterior cruciate ligament injury prevention. It'll be a 3-year research project carried out by the Professional Footballers Association, PFA, FIFA, Nike, and Leeds Beckett University. The focus will be the environmental factors that increase the risk of ACLs in female footballers. Half of the current clubs have agreed to participate out of the 12, and they will be assessed on their facilities, number of staff in ratio to their squad sizes, frequency to access to train, travel and playing schedules. The hope for this project, once it's up and running, it will go to global, so it will look at the other leagues in the world. But they're starting with the WSL, which is brilliant in my eyes. Research already undertaken suggests that female footballers are 2 to 6 times more likely to suffer an ACL injury than any male footballer. What are your thoughts, Matt? I mean, we've been crying out for this, haven't we?
Yeah, and I don't know why it's taken so long. Maybe it's just taken a lot of people to get on board. The fact that there's only 6 of the WSL clubs that actually have turned around and said, yeah, we'll help, is a bit suspicious. I think for the reason of a lot of the clubs have had ACLs. I'd imagine Bristol City would probably get involved, Arsenal get involved. I'd imagine Chelsea would probably get involved as well, Liverpool maybe as well. I'm not too sure on Man City, Man United, but I'd imagine that.
Sorry, had they said who the clubs are who jumped on Everton?
No, they've just said half of the current 12 clubs.
I
That
hope
was what
Arsenal
was
aren't.
in Emma Sanders' article on the BBC.
You'd imagine by experience that because of the 4 ACLs in one season, Arsenal will go straight into it because they don't want things like that to happen again.
I think with us, they'll be looking at the rehab end because most of our girls are out of it at this point. Whereas we've got fresher ones elsewhere, other clubs. So I do think we're one of the teams.
Just quickly though, Lucy Bronze actually did her paper in university about ACLs, and she was saying about how much it's important to get those ACLs sorted and recovering because again, there's not that research, but anything that's been done in the past to cover it, they're using it as a baseline at the moment. So that's a good start to begin with.
Yeah, and further down in the article, I know she was used as a quote, "We're the ones going through it, not you," meaning like the fans and everyone else. So I think that's the understanding I got from the article. I'm not saying it definitely is, but that's the understanding I got. But Adam, happy with that? Do you think we're one of the 6 clubs?
I would hope that we are because not meaning to brag, but when it comes to women's football, Arsenal have usually been taking the lead in many fields, and I would hope this is one of them. Considering we have Colin Lewin, very experienced head of medicine, both from the men's side now on the women's side. I was very lucky to meet. I think I can never remember which one it is. I think it's Colin Lewin, but it could be Gary Lewin. I can't remember which way around it is, and I've got it the wrong way around. I apologise. But one of the Lewins is obviously involved with the women's medical team, and we saw that in the documentary. We've had the 4 ACLs. We've had the 4 ACLs. We've had many more. We've had Dan Carter twice. We've had Jordan Nobbs, Marlene Goot. I think Kelly Smith may have done the ACL down the years. Sorry, Taya
Goldie twice. Rob Holding
Goldie twice as well. Kaylin's obviously still in the medical room.
I said Taya Goldie.
Yeah, Taya Goldie. Yeah, twice.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. There are so many, and then the more you go through it, the more you remember. Oh yeah, she had one as well. It's awful, and I hope that we are signing up to this, because we need data, and that's what it needs: data and lots of data, because there are so many possibilities and permutations and theories. And you can look at the old causation is not correlation is not causation. Just because 3 players did this and did the ACLs, that doesn't mean that is the sole cause. And there are so many things, so many theories and ideas what might be causing this. And the only way we're going to find out is by doing mass data research on lots of players in different leagues, working in different quality of clubs. Clubs with really good medical facilities, and I would hope Arsenal will be one of those. Maybe players with lesser facilities because of the funding, they're not able to. It's got to be a huge demographic to encompass all the different platforms women's play football on. So I'm glad they are doing this. It is years out of date. Years late, should I say rather. They should have established this, I'd say 5 years ago. It's just sad that it's taken so many injuries, because I swear it's like once a week now, or once every 2 weeks, every fortnight. There's level players done an ACL, and it's getting. It's not funny, but it's getting beyond a joke. This is not like a one-off injury. This is something that is badly impacting the game, and it needs fixing. And hopefully, this is a step towards doing just that.
No, absolutely. I look forward to seeing what they come up with over the next few years and what research and if they keep us informed of what's exactly happening, which is maybe unlikely. But the outcome of this could be a massive change for everybody. It could affect the facilities and the number of staff and the way everything's played, even the scheduling. It could affect. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Other news today: EA Sports have chosen the Barclays Women's Super League team of the season. The final squad is interesting to say the least. I'm not reading these out in any particular order. It's just how they appear on my screen. So we've got Lauren James, Sam Kerr, Bunny Shaw, Lauren Hemp, Alex Greenwood, Neem Charles, Mallard, Katie Zalem, Russo, Kyra Keaton, and Lotta Wibben-Moy. I mean, there is only one midfielder there, and that is Katie Zalem. I'm going to come to you first, Adam. What do you think?
So she hardly qualifies as that. That's another matter.
Yeah, but they've got her down as the CDM. So she's the only one. There's 4 strikers. They've got Lauren Hemp as left midfield, left wing for Mallards. Left back is Neem Charles. Centre backs Lotta and Alex Greenwood.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's one of those things where I think in isolation, the players they've picked warrant an inclusion in a team of the season. Problem is, there's too many of those players playing the same position, so they're being crowbarred elsewhere into the team. And what that means is that there are players who have played really well in the midfield who haven't been included. Victoria Palova springs to mind, or even Kim Little, who's always amazing. So, and there's always a bias towards the strikers because they're the ones who score the goals, they're the ones who get the headlines, they're the ones that ping it in from 20 yards in top corner or finish off the passing move or score the hat tricks. They are the heroes of the team, and naturally, team of the weeks, team of the seasons do tilt towards them. There's a reason why when the Ballon d'Ors come up, it's usually a very attacking player who wins the trophy overall because they are the standout Hollywood names. So we all know it's bloody nonsense. But I think what it does do is it creates a discussion point because, as I say, if you disagree with that, what's your team of the season? Let us know in the comments. Who would you have as your EA Sport team of the year? So no, I wouldn't in isolation. I wouldn't say that any of those players don't warrant a place. The flip side, of course, is if you did it fairly, you then get people saying, "Well, hang on a minute, why have you included Mallard, but you haven't included Lauren Hemp? Or why have you said X player? Because they're both really good, but I can only choose one." And then the people saying, "Well, why is Katie Zalem better than Bunny Shaw?" And you get all those ridiculous arguments. So it's
that's
not
a comparison. I'm really sorry for that.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
But that's the thing. There are players that people always say there is a better player in the position than what is picked. So it's not something to be treated as gospel. It's something to basically trigger a war of passion in the comments, which is great. It's what we want.
Matt, anything to add to that?
It's just questionable when you bring out these teams and half the players or some of the players have had an injury, haven't been playing for months, and yet they're still included. It doesn't make sense to me, and that's nothing against
on that subject. A bit of a popularity contest, do you think?
Yeah, that's where I was sort of coming towards, was the fact that it seems to be EA have just basically gone, oh, who are the most searched names or something like that in their database, and they found these 11 players, and that's what they're going with so far. It's a bit of a struggle as well because there's some players that you look at in the league, Jess Park, for example. I'm trying to think of players outside those top clubs.
Rachel Daly.
Rachel Daly, Thesdrop from Bristol City, players that have been really good and will probably potentially win their player of the season for the club.
Maybe like Sam Tierney. She performs week in, week out.
Tierney, Leicester.
For a fact, because I've reached points on her all season.
Jana Leipzig as well.
I think better to do with the EA team is to basically pick one player from each team and do it that way. And then you've got a representation of the league in one team. Of course, then you'll have the classic, well, how you get better representation, but then you create even more anger when you think, why is Sam Tierney being picked ahead of the player who plays for Manchester City? Why is Rachel Daly the lead forward and not Bunny Shaw?
That's how you get the talking point, and you get people to look at different players rather than just their own teams. Okay. Actually, I have, for everyone who's viewing on YouTube and or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, can you put your team of the season in? But the only rule is you've got to pick one player from every single team across the WSL. That does mean you'll be losing one team, but at least you've got someone from each team and it's not a complete Arsenal bias. I am going to set this challenge for Matt and Adam, but they will reveal their teams next show, if that's
I was going to say, make it more fun because it's a 12 league team system. Say no Arsenal players. Make it team of the season without Arsenal.
No, that's not fair. No, that's not fair. You can save that for another time. But yeah,
or the Arsenal players, the sub.
Yeah,
yeah, one player from every team and one sub on the bench. That is what I want to see in the comments. I also want to shout out to Martin Langston, who regularly comments on our videos. He wants to know, do we have a song for Emily Fox yet?
Yes, we do. Emily Fox from America. We did have Fox on a Run was one of the ones we were going in for. That was one of the early ones, but Emily Fox to America, or Emily Fox is from America, or something like that. It was the one that took off. I think it was when we were playing, I want to say Watford in the FA Cup. I think that's when she made a debut, and so that's sort of become her song. I know it's quite controversial because they've sort of jumbled the syllable to get Emily in. But no, that's her chant, and when she's on the ball, that's the song they sing.
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to jump into the wonderful draw that deflated us. Team lineups. Arsenal starting 11. I think I'm most surprised about our goalkeeping choice. We had Zinsberger, and then at the back we had Fox, Williamson, Catley, and McCabe. In the middle of the park we had Palova, Captain Kimmy Little, Leslie Russo, and then up top we had Mead, Blackstenius, and Caitlin Ford. On the bench we had Leah Kadina, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Frida Leonardson-Mornham, Chloe Declasse, and why do I want to keep saying Lydia Williams? It's going to annoy me now. Taya Goldie. No, and I know it's Naomi. I'm just looking at it, I'm thinking, my brain's thinking Lydia, and I'm looking at I'm seeing Naomi. I'm like, Taya Goldie, Katie Reid, Laura Vienforota, and Vivian Miedemar. Happy with the starting 11, Matt?
Yeah, I think
I'm going to go with you first because you were on Walton Hall Park. So.
Well, I think the only issue was we didn't know what was going to happen with Lotta on the day. So the fact that she wasn't in meant Steph had to play centre back. Although you could probably argue that Leia should have been starting from the start and Steph should have been playing left back instead of Casey. I think it was just a case of that. Let's just go for it and see what happens. But it didn't end that way.
No, absolutely not. I think, Adam, the most interesting thing is Sabrina Diancho didn't travel.
No, it appeared not. I mean, I should confess, I slept through the entire first half, so I didn't get the team news. I didn't get anything. The only time I really found out what the team was is when I turned on the TV just before the start of the second half. I should say this is because of the way I work, and I was working nights that weekend. So I was kind of gambling that I'd wake up and look at the score and go, oh, we're 2-3-0 up. I can relax into my Sunday, and that wasn't the case. So I was having to play catch up. And from what I could see,
how can you relax on North London Derby Day? That does not happen.
Well, that's what I was hoping, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to say sleep through the North London Derby. It's so stressful. I thought I can't stay up again. I have to get some sort of sleep in. And so sadly, the women's team paid the price on that one, and I only watched the second half. So I was hoping to play catch up on the starting lineups, and I think
that's fine. I only saw the first half. We're good. And I think the best part for me was I just watched Leslie score, and then the first goal came a few minutes after North London Derby. So I'm going, oh my god, yes, I'm happy.
At that point, I was multi-screening, and there was an element of synchronization there, which we'll get to. I was playing catch up with the team lineups, and I think it was the same team we put up against Leicester, pretty much, I think. So again, I saw that and thought, yeah, no dramas. The team worked against Leicester, so it should work again. It didn't, hence the result. And I was very surprised to find out that we were actually still 0-0. It had been 0-0 at half time. We hadn't scored. I've since had to do the catch up on the highlights, and it's not pretty in that first half.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we had a fully loaded bench,
Mm.
but Everton only had 4 on the bench, which was a bit concerning.
Mm.
Their starting lineup was Bronson, Hope, Stenovic, Finnegan, Van Havermaet, Holmgard, Piemonte, Wheeler, Holmgard, Bissell, and I can't pronounce her
It's
name. This is
nice.
not going to work. It's nice. That's it. Thank you
Nice.
very much. Then on the bench we had Dale, Hobson, Settle, Hart, and Wilding. Our resident Evertonian, were you expecting that lineup and such a small bench?
I was probably expecting a couple more of the academy players to be on the bench. I wasn't expecting them to only have 4. It just goes to show that they had to be more strategic with how they were playing, and to be fair to them, when even before kickoff, during the warm up, you could see they were really into it. They wanted to put it to bed as quickly as possible, try and get something out of this game. Courtney Brosnan was making save after save, and when she was warming up, Piemonte was hitting the bottom corners, making a lot of the fans duck cover as well. A lot of the Everton players. So it was a case of they felt really up for it, and they had the opportunity. Right, we're not expected to get anything. Let's try and change that. And they came out and they gave a really good game. It just felt I wasn't down the other end, so I couldn't see how Arsenal were warming up, but it just looked very casual, if I'm honest, from the odd glances that I saw.
That would tally because, again, got risking jumping ahead, but from what I saw in the second half, I think we were very casual. And that's not a good sign, but we'll get onto that later on. But being casual in the warm up, if that's the case, that's a trend they did carry forward.
Yeah, do you know what? I got to be honest with you. I watched the first 45 minutes before they flipped over to North London Derby down in the Tollington. Sorry. It was really flat. It was obviously a disappointing 1-1 draw. We had Alessia Russo score for what she thought was a winner after pushing late on, but Everton's threat from set pieces paid off deep in stoppage time as Isabella Hobson headed the home corner. First half for me, only Stina looked the most threatening. In the opening exchanges is fun. Like she managed to find a way through that back 5. Let's be honest. She's continued to make those runs the whole game, and it wasn't happening for her. I think for me, Matt, Caitlin Ford, she should have had a hat trick in that first half. Surely.
She was doing a lot, but then at the time it comes back to again the same old things where she tries to do too much. And if I'm honest, I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking that Katie and Caitlin cannot play together because they haven't got that intuition that Steph and Caitlin have. So I think what's probably going to happen over the break, whatever happens, or they'll have a hard look at themselves and just say, look, what's going to happen. Kate, I don't know what Caitlin's doing at the moment because her head seems to be all over the place. Sometimes she's hot, and then the next couple of minutes she's cold, and it's just very, very. I don't want to say awkward, but it's getting frustrating because it's just like I'm talking about the same old things again.
There was a moment in the highlights, in the first half highlights, which were minimal. I've seen that the ball comes to Ford, and she air kicks it. She just the Castle had done the job, which is she just swung a leg at it. There was no, and I think if she connected with it, I think it's a goal. And for me, that's a lack of composure, but that's a lack of concentration in the moment. It's a very sort of passive attempt. So rather than taking control of the situation, stepping onto the ball and striking it, and we'll get on to another effort in the second half, another player did something similar. It's just waiting for the ball to come to them and swinging a foot at it, which is wrong, in my view. You have to take control of the situation rather than be receptive to it. And I think that
from the highlights, you saying she wasn't clinical enough then?
Yeah, it's not just being clinical. It's just there's no composure. And what Matt said was about being casual. She treated the situation very casually as though she'd already scored, and it was just a formality. And football doesn't work like that. And something I've thought about is, and I've mentioned to people about, is I don't think Arsenal. I am jumping way ahead there, but this summed up for me. Arsenal didn't respect the chances that they had. They didn't respect the chances, and they were trying. We'll get onto the chances, and it sort of set the tone of this just sort of lackadaisical, just sort of, I don't want to say lazy, because they're not. These are players that care, and they were trying, but there was no composure in the final third, and it's a real annoyance because for the last 2 games we've been all right in the final third. We've won them and won them convincingly, and then this happens, and it sort of sums up our season of when, like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We'll get a good run of games together, and then we'll do something like this, and it just sort of undoes all the good work we've done.
You know what? It was really weird as well. There was that one chance that Everton had, and it was Van Havermaet with the header, and it hits the post. Sorry, Lottie, were you going to bring that up next?
Yeah, it was rattled the crossbar, didn't it? So
it's just one of those where you think, right, okay, that's the wake-up call. And you thought, right, okay, if that's the wake-up call, you need to react to it, and they never really did.
It was Holmgard, actually. It was actually Holmgard to Holmgard, with the twins combining. According to BBC, anyway.
No, it was Justine Havermaet.
This was from the corner.
The crossbar for a powerful header. Yep.
Oh, right.
It rattled the crossbar.
BBC
Put it this way: the first half, Adam, you didn't miss much. It was that quiet. Both teams cancelled each other out, and that was it. I was a bit disappointed because obviously I wasn't going to get to see the second half properly.
No.
And it was just something, when something's just not right. I knew that one of the 2 games from Arsenal that day, something wasn't going to go right, but I didn't know which. When you wake up with that gut feeling, and it's like something can go wrong today. Do you know what I mean? And it just, thankfully, I don't want to sound really bad, but the men didn't mess it up.
There was a gap in the men's game, but which we just happened we got away with it in that instance.
Yeah, we did get away with it. Just
what you were saying about the crossbar, though, that again, talk about setting the tone. If this was a narrative, this was a story, this is the pay attention to that plot device of them getting ahead on the corner, because again, when we get to the end, I'll talk about the bigger picture. If we get to the end, I'll talk about the bigger picture if I remember to. But that's a key thing. Them hitting the bar from that corner, that's another key thing about our performance, which is for me rather worrying. But we'll get to it later on.
You're talking about it a bit casual. Just the fans didn't seem to really turn up. I only heard them for a couple of minutes, and I just couldn't hear them. It was Everton.
Well, we only had 250. We only had 250 fans. How can you?
250, Adam. There was more than that. I know you're joking, but I'm being serious. There was over 2,000 fans in that stadium, and I was there with.
BBC have it down as 1,997. That's the official attendance for the stadium.
So
just short of 1,000.
But
I would argue that.
I got to admit, even we had it on the TV and it was a bit quiet. I actually got them to put the sound on so I could listen to the commentary, and then I told them to turn it immediately off because I was like, no, let's put the music back on. So it wasn't the commentary weren't great, put it that way. So before we dive into the second half, Matt, what was Walton Hall Park like?
I've just
at sort of like half-time mark. As you said, Arsenal fans were quiet, and that's very extremely unusual for us.
I'm going to be totally honest. I think a lot of them were trying to watch the game, but they had their eyes on the men's game instead, and that's why the songs weren't coming through. Because as soon as one of the men's players did score, all you hear is Tottenham get battered, and it's just like, why are you singing that when it's a WSL game against Everton? You're here to watch the team, and you're singing a song that doesn't make sense. It's a really weird stereotype to have.
I know I've seen clips of the people who've been there. Some people in the crowd did have the derby on, and I do get that because there is a dual. Not all fans, but some fans, most fans I think have a foot in both camps, and so will want to know what's going on.
And I get that.
And
I've got my feet in both camps.
Yeah,
and you sort of do, but Matt doesn't.
Not as much as I used to, no.
No, of course not. But I know you watch the men's, but you don't follow it, say, as much as I do or Adam does. That's my point.
And I think the problem is because the women's game was so disengaging on that day, the Arsenal weren't giving the fans the fuel they needed. They were having to look elsewhere, and so I can understand them. When I was at the Conti Cup final, I was having half an eye on I missed not by watching, but just getting a text update on the score. So I can understand that, but it's not great when you're bringing men's songs from a men's result into there's a crossing of the streams there that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, It's really disengaging, especially when this Tottenham women hadn't even kicked off yet. I don't think.
I
No,
think
because they kicked off a lot later on Sunday.
Yeah, we were the only kickoff. I should say on top of the fans watching on the TV, the stadium looked packed. And that's the most like the entire all round the rim of the ground. It looked full. I don't think you could squeeze any more fans in that stadium. And this falls back to what I was saying in the preview. I don't think that stadium is suitable. And I put a clip up. The clip went up from the archive of Arsenal against Chelsea. It was an away game at Chelsea's old ground, Wheatsheaf Park. This is back in 2015. And it's pretty much like Walton Hall Park, in which you have the main stand and then you have just sort of the perimeter fencing. Chelsea played there, and I think until about 2017, 2018, and then they moved to Kings Meadow because it was a bigger stadium. That Walton Park is a stadium from the WSL from about 10 years ago. It's not a 2024. It's a 2014, 2015 stadium. It is not a 2024 stadium. And I think a lot of the problem with fans, I think, Matt, you mentioned there was a lot of problems with getting into the stadium, I think there were. And
so I'll go
Yeah,
off
go.
on that.
Yeah.
So basically, there was queues coming in. I think it took me 20 minutes to get in. I think it was taken up to people either around me half an hour, maybe even longer. Queues for the toilets as well. There are portaloos at the stadium as well, as the main toilets. So it's not like you have a huge queue, but again, it's becoming a problem now because it's getting to the point where you need to have women's or interchangeable toilets as you have some stadiums at the moment. I have raised the point with Everton that look, it's not sustainable. There was more than that supposed 250 Arsenal fans that were there that had gotten into gotten tickets through whatever means. They need to look at moving this game because it is not sustainable. I'm thinking around. There's not many car parks around in that stadium. It's all a local area, so it means you're parking on someone's driveway. Basically, there's also the fact that there's secure. If for whatever reasons, let's go back to Man United at the Emirates last season, where two boys decided to run across that pitch. If that happened, I do not feel comfortable that the stewards would have the means to protect the people involved. I think there was up to only 10 stewards there. That's not safe at all. And they need to make sure that they take those precautions. And that's one of the reasons why I'm hitting home the fact that if they do this game in the future, make sure it's at Goodison Park, because
Or they need their new stadium with the docks when that stadium opens.
I think it would mean more to be able to get this at Goodison Park to test the waters, because it means that you could have proper away section. And I mean, the Merseyside derby only got 9,000 at Goodison Park this year. It would probably see, if you had Arsenal fans, that would probably be in the 12 to 15,000, maybe even 20,000. But
that depends on the allocation, though. Let's be honest.
Well, you could alternatively, they could turn around and say, look, we'll open it up to general sale, and general sale will be
it will be Arsenal fans. Let's be honest.
So Arsenal fans grab those tickets, and you say to them, right, okay, if you want to be in that section, you have that entire stand. A bit different when say the Merseyside derby's on and they've got that small, they only have that small away end just as a precaution. It's the same as when at Anfield, Everton have the away section and that's it. But there was 22,500 there. I know I'm talking about attendances. We should just say we have hit over 1 million attendances across the Championship and WSL as well this season, which is huge.
That's phenomenal.
But club like Everton, that's hands down, you could get more than 2,000 at an Everton game if they played it at a stadium that would cater for the demand, which they are, I'm sort of sadly holding back. That's the view I had watching the game and watching the.
There is room for it to improve. It's just they need to make sure that they have those plans and a plan going forward, which I don't think they have.
I think with the way the game is going, I think they need the amount of expansion required. I think they're better off just doing a Leicester City or doing a Bristol City and just double teaming it with their main ground, especially if they're going to need that main ground to start making money. The new stadium, I think that would be a more cost-effective way of doing it than trying to develop Walton Hall Park. That's just my opinion on it.
No, absolutely. But what we'll do now is we'll get back to the second half. Following the restart, we carved out the two absolutely promising chances. First was Steph Catley's. Catley's? What's going on with me tonight? My pronunciation has gone out the window. First, Steph Catley's looping header was claimed by Courtney Bronson. Goalkeepers Union. Thoughts on Courtney Brosnan's save for that? It's just, I have no words for that. It was good.
There is a reason why she's Republic of Ireland's number one. And you always think back to some of the best goalkeepers are probably the ones that go through those relegation fights. Everton have been in that relegation dogfight for a couple of years. Courtney Brosnan has been part of that, and she's come out the other side fighting. Typically Irish, not trying to be stereotypical, but they get stronger from the fight, and you can hear her shouting from even a couple of feet. Like she's shouting at defence left, right, and centre. She is a very good goalkeeper, and just looking at her and you're thinking, where would you go? Where would you be able to go if the opportunity came about? If there was, say, an opportunity at City, if there was an opportunity at Man United, I think she would suit Man United quite well. If she was to leave Everton, but I think, to be honest, she'd better stay away where she is at the moment with Everton. She is a fantastic goalkeeper, and if Everton lose out, it will be a real shame. But at the moment, she's not getting that push because Emily Ramsey's out. Emily Ramsey was actually in a protected boot on crutches as well. So I do wish her the best with that recovery. But Courtney Brosnan is a fantastic goalkeeper, and she's a great one to have in the league as well, especially for your fantasy league, because she always gets the three saves bonus for you.
Oh, nice pick.
No, absolutely. I think just before that, Victoria Palova failed to adjust her feet and fired wide from a Kate McCabe cutback. So, Adam, you mentioned this earlier. I know you're itching to talk about this one. I can see it written all over your face.
This is when I woke up. So I woke up about, I think it was a half-time kickoff, so I think it must have been about quarter to 2. I think I woke up.
Lazy.
I know. Well, I went to bed at 6 and I went to bed at 7 in the morning, so it wasn't too bad. But I woke up and I checked my phone. What's the score? It's 0-0. Okay, trouble. Put it on the hotel TV, and it was on the BBC. It's all fine, and the chance happens, and Palova flips it wide, and I thought, it's a really good chance. I thought, well, don't worry, Arsenal are clearly in the groove. You know, this is not the first chance. The way we're playing, we must have had plenty of chances. And turns out, no, this was the first big major chance we've had. It's a poor miss. It really is. And you know, I love Palova to bits. I think she's been amazing this season. She has to score that. She has to take that chance. It's gilt edge. And I'll come back to my previous point about being casual, is that she has waited for the ball to come to her and just swung a leg at it. She has to come to the ball and be the one to instigate it. But it's just a lazy swipe, and she's just scuffed it beyond the far post. It's a really ugly miss.
She hasn't changed her position. That's what the problem is. Exactly. When if she changed her position, all she needed is a little push, and that's going it right into the corner.
100%. She hasn't turned towards the goal or faced the goal. She's she's pinning with the defender, and she's just done what Ford did in the first half and swung a leg at it. Should have scored it, and if she scores that goal, I mean, if you say your goal change game, different game, etc. You think if she scored that early, that gives us momentum in the second half to keep going. And then watching the game, and I wasn't okay. So I wouldn't try and work what emotion was watching the game, as we'll probably go on to some of the further chances. It wasn't like the Chelsea game when I was getting angry, but I was getting mildly annoyed. I was getting mildly thinking, Arsenal, what are you doing here? And I'm looking at the strikers. I'm looking at Russo and Stina. It worked so well against Bristol. It worked well at the tail end of Villa. Didn't work out so well against Leicester, and I don't think it was working here. And again, it's a frustration of it looks like we found a solution, and then the solution fails. And it's the old adage of it's like a Rubik's Cube fighting back. You know, we find we have a problem, we get the solution, then suddenly the solution becomes the problem, and then we've got to find a new solution. And yeah, watching that second half and watching us just struggle to stitch anything together, and that Palova or convert any of the chances we do, it was getting more and more frustrating and more concerning, because we should. again, which is not trying to be arrogant, but and I don't want to go down the Gary Neville route of, well, this is Manchester United. We're Arsenal. You have to win these games. I know
Sorry, I'm really sorry. The Arsenal.
The Arsenal, the Arsenal women. You have to win these games, and you have to score the game. And last season, we won this game, no problem, and that was also the tail end of the season. And again, there are no stakes in this game because the season's already over. We won the trophy, top 3 secure because of what happened at Leicester. I worry if the lack of stakes in the game, because the games mean nothing now, and this again, point we're coming back to, but I worry if that affects the mentality of have these players got their flip-flops and sandals on and already got one eye on the summer break, because to be honest, there was no, I wouldn't say intensity. There was just nothing crackling in the final fight that made me think we were going to pull away as we should.
I just want to say huge well done to Alessia Russo, because she was communicating all the time with Stina. She was saying, "I'm with you, Stina. If you want to press." It was just great to be able to sit very close to it and just be able to hear the players and see what they were communicating and how they do it, because you can't do it at the Emirates. You can't really do it at Meadow Park because of a lot of the atmosphere. Not blaming the atmosphere. It's great and it helps the players out quite a lot. And I think that was helping Stina a bit, because there were times where she was right. Okay, I know that Les is behind me. I know she's going to press if I press. And that was great. I just wanted to see a little bit more.
Do you think this is the partnership we need, though? Is Stina Russo, because it's had mixed results. We've been games we've gone, yeah, that looks great. Looked great in the end of the Conti Cup final when we got the win. And then there's games like this Everton game where it doesn't look so great. Is this because we tried the whole thing with Russo and Miedemar? We played a few games of Russo and Miedemar until Miedemar got injured. Didn't really see any snap and crackle. Russo and Stina, we've seen good bits, we've seen bad bits. Do you think this is the one?
I think it's more of the case that teams are finding it out, and that's the problem. There's always going to be something that is going to be a good thing that, say when Beth and Caitlin swap over, we're not as effective because Beth's running at the left back, but Caitlin's doing nothing on the right wing because she's not comfortable there. If we were able to have, say, Chloe and Beth, I think them two would be swapping interchangeably every couple of minutes. That would be leaving defenders' head spinning, I think, just at the moment, because no fault of Vivian Miedemar at all. She's injured and she's just coming back into fitness, and she's not been able to play, so there's a few questions. It's the same for Frida Leonards and Mornham. She's not been able to get those minutes because of what happened at the Conti Cup. It's just, I think things have fallen in place and teams are just going, right, okay, we know what you're doing now. That's easy, we can do that. So next season, it's almost like Jonas is sort of saying, well, if these teams are figuring us out with a depleted squad as Everton were, and they need to find something different. It can't always be, right, we're going to do this and this. It's very, very similar to how it happened with the 4 ACLs. We were so depleted towards the end. Villa just run us over with a truck at the end of the season at Meadow Park. And it's one of those things where I know it sounds really weird, but you've got to outthink what you've done in the past and think there's got to be a plan B, plan C.
You've got to keep evolving. You've got to because the ground is always shifting. And I think we'll see. I think the problem is we can't keep evolving when we can't even get our base nailed down. Jonas is still trying to find his best team with the resources he has, and I think that is affecting, as you say, the ability to. We've got no foundation to build on because the foundation keeps changing.
My biggest worry as well is that Leah Williamson came off at half time.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
I hope she's not injured again.
They were saying a precaution, but this actually had, as we'll get to near the end, this had a secondary effect, which hopefully we'll get a chance to talk at the end when we get to the equaliser, which I want to talk about.
Oh, I can see that you're absolutely itching to.
Everything has its time.
Yeah, everything does have its time. You're itching to go, and I might just make you wait till last now. So we remain patient with our attack and play. Eventually, we got a reward through Alessia Russo. Basically, in the right place at the right time to convert a 6-yard shot from Beth Mead, which was actually saved by Courtney Brosnan in the first place. Matt, do you want to talk us through the goalkeeping?
Well, this one's just it's a classic scramble in the box. There's not much you can do. There's nothing you can really say that's gonna try and make the outcome a bit different, because when it comes to a scramble in the box, you got Everton. There was about 4 or 5 Everton defenders trying to clear it. You got no one's picking up Alessia Russo when she comes in, and it's I wouldn't say panic, but it was almost like the instinct to get it away as clear as possible was right straight away there from Everton, and just not it's just one of those ones where, because you're sort of too busy focusing on trying to hit the ball away, you haven't realised, hold on, there could be a second opportunity for someone to come in. They haven't picked Alessia up, and Alessia's got a tap in. I originally thought it was Chloe that scored.
Yeah.
And the only reason I thought that, because Chloe was on the left at that stage, and she was nearest to Leslie, and Single was the one hugging her afterwards. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that I really like about Leicester, is that she's not just this really tall player in the box, that she can score headers, she can score any type of goals, and she's willing to do the running as well, which is a fantastic attribute you don't really see from a lot of strikers.
I like this goal for a number of reasons, and the roots of this goal occurs, I think it's about the 65th minute, 64th minute rather, and that's when Jonas has had enough and he plays his subs, and he brings on Lacasse. He brings on Lacasse for forward, 100% the right decision. He brings on Frida for Stina and moves.
Should the forward substitution happened at half time, not when he actually did it?
No, I think not. I think not, but I think that was the right time to play it. I always, a half-time substitution is either an injury or it's a panic because you've done something wrong. I think Ford has the quality that even if she hasn't got the form, I think she gave her enough chance in that game, and thought, no, 60, 65 minutes, perfect. It's the old, sort of Wenger sub, isn't it? That's the sort of time you bring the subs on. So I had no qualms with the timing, and people, as I say, Frida on for Stina, so he moves Russo further forward, and that's how the goal comes about. Lacasse on the wing, I think she gets a nutmeg in, flips across over to Beth Mead at the back stick, volleys it. It's a good save, but you've got Russo crucially in the 6-yard box, and said time and time again, that's where he wants Russo. He wants her to be that 6-yard box poacher, and she takes it very well, stabs it in the net, and you go, right, fine, 1-0. 10 minutes to go. It's been shoddy. We've missed chances. I mean, and there were other chances. I think Lacasse should have met a Bethany cross, missed it. I think we skied a shot over the bar that we should have flicked on and should have done better with. We've not been great, and we should say Everton had other chances. I think there was another Van Holm. You go to say what the name is.
And Havermat.
Havermat, thank you. So Havermat, I think, had a chance off on the corner that she should have done better. I think she struck it straight at the keeper. So we weren't dealing well with the corners. I think Marnie was a bit flappy on one of them as well. So we weren't doing great, but we had the lead. And it comes down to managing the game at that point. It comes down to managing the final 10 minutes. And for whatever reason, we didn't redo that. And this is where I want to come on to the substitution. We brought Lear off at half time. We believe it's an injury problem. Well, we weren't too sure. And Lai Kadina comes on. What this means is we don't have a defensive sub. And I look at the North London derby. We were 3-2, only winning 3-2, about 10 minutes to go. What did Arteta do? He brought Kivia on. He brought the extra defender on. We could load up our defensive numbers and we could see the game out. We can do that. We didn't have that option because we brought Kadina on for Leah Williamson. So we basically had one centre back. I think we had a Catley at left back. So we had 3 full backs and a centre back as a defensive bottom. The only options we could have brought on would have been Katie Reid or Tare Goldie. One who is only just coming back from an ACL. The other is a youth product. I don't think it would be fair to bring her on that situation. So we couldn't close the game out. So we just had to play it, and it got very chaotic. And Everton brought on a sub. I think it was just after the goal. Hobson, just after we scored, who obviously had a bigger play to make. So rather than us controlling the game, it just became, we'll just try and get the second goal. I think we had even the chance of a second goal. I think we blazed another goal over. And yeah, it was very, very poor game management from us. And you just think if it's 1-0, give them a set piece, and they've been dangerous set pieces all game, you are susceptible. And we've shown, and I highly recommend you follow Tim Stillman's Substack, because he makes a really good point about set pieces. Because we have the most, and he brings up in the post-match interview, he talks about set pieces. We have had the most corners in the WSL this season, and I think we've only scored about 3 of them. And it's just not good. But what was even worse is our management set pieces, defending on today, was like even worse. Just on both set pieces, corners at both ends, we dealt with them appallingly. And I talk about that crossbar in the first half, and we're going to come to the goal. Lottie, this is what I mean about a plot point for later.
This is the biggest worry as well, Adam. Just to bring up the points, you have Taya Goldie coming back from ACL, Laura Feenreiter just coming back from ACL.
Yeah.
On the bench, Katie Reid. If I'm being honest, if you were to bring Katie Reid on at that time, you need to have the experience of someone like Leah Williamson. No offense to Steph Catley or Leah Cadena, I don't think they would help. I think there's still a little, not as much, but I just think there's a little bit of a there'll be a bit of a translation if you trust Leah, and that's nothing against her. It's just she's not 100% settled.
I'd also add, we brought Katie Reid, I think, for the Bristol game. The Bristol game, we were 5-0 up. There were no stakes in that game. The game was dead. The perfect time to bring a sub on like Katie Reid. Not ideal when you're hanging on for a 1-0 lead against Everton away from home, and they're going to be pushing a bit harder because they want to get that equaliser, and they're getting into very good positions. I think McCabe had to make a very late block. They were, Everton were piling on the pressure, and we had no control. And then what happened.
No, absolutely. I mean, that should have been our game-winning moment. Let's be serious.
Yeah.
But Everton, being Everton, they kept applying the pressure through their set pieces. Just a couple of minutes remaining at a time. Isabel Hobson climbed high to meet the corner delivery and looped the ball into the back of the net. Matt, what was your view like from your seat? Standing, I should say, sorry.
This one actually is really worth watching back, because from my angle originally, you see that who is it? I think it's no, it's not Leslie. I can't remember who it is, but the first head away.
Oh, right. This is the flick at the near post.
Yeah, so this is so Mead headed it. That's fine. She's headed it, but she hasn't headed it away correctly. Let's just put it right. If you head it, you need to head it as far away as possible, and she hasn't managed to. I don't know if it's because of her height or if it's because of she hasn't been able to put her head straight through it, which is why it's sort of just bobbling. And the issue with this was that Emily Fox was marking a 16-year-old who was a bit taller than. I don't know what exactly the height difference was, but Hobson just absolutely just was like, right, I'm claiming this, and it's a lovely dipped header. And what really frustrates me, being the goalkeeper, Manu's got a finger on it, and you cannot get that from the corner unless you're right by the goal. She's managed to get a finger on it, and if you're only a couple of inches smaller, you're just taller with your arm lengths or anything like that, you save that, and that's pushed back out, and Arsenal get that away, or it's a chance someone clears it on the line or something like that. That's how you feel, and it just. Manu stared at me, and I just said, so I should have said something. I really should have said something to Manu right there and then. I just stared at her as if to say, I can't believe how close you were to getting that.
I think it would have been like a ridiculously good save. The reactions you need point blank to make a save like that. For me, that is on the fact that we just didn't manage the set piece situation properly. We hadn't done all game. Everton were winning headers or winning the ball consistently in our box, and we weren't dealing with it. And it reminded me of the goal we actually scored at West Ham. We whipped the corner in, and a West Ham defender flicked it on away from Arnold. It's how Russo was able to see in the back post. it's happened to us. Beth has got the flick, and the moment the ball flicks off the near post, it's near impossible to defend. It's why Arsenal used to do it with like Steve Bold and Tony Adams back in the night. I said the old days in the 90s, but in the old, it was the old. You'd flick it on at the near post, and someone back stick would nod it in. And so when that happens, and it's obviously our player that hasn't had it away properly, you are in a world of trouble because the attackers are in a much better position to head it than you are. And Hobson, I think she's like one of the youngest players to score in the WSL.
He is the youngest. I think it's 16 and 168 days or something along that lines.
Yeah, I mean, incredible moment. And for me, Arsenal deserved that because they didn't take their chances. They didn't take the chances earlier in the game. They shouldn't have been in a position where they were only 1-0 up. They were poor on set pieces throughout the game, and they never rectified it. I mean, the irony is we watched the Arsenal. I was watching the Arsenal men's game. There was another team that was also wretched at set pieces. Thankfully, in that case, it was Spurs. But for us, it was us on the women's side. And I talk back to the whole set piece. I just think that we haven't been good at attacking set pieces all season, and then this is proof of we're not good at defending set pieces all season. Now we haven't failed in the WSL this season because of set pieces, but it hasn't. It's massively detrimented us, because we basically lost a potent weapon that we have. I mean, and it's easier to look at the men's team and look at Nicholas Jova and what he's done with them, and we're one of the best set piece teams in the country. And you think, why can't we get that on the women's side? And yeah, fair play to Everton. Yeah, hung in there, kept it at 1-0. I think we could have even won it at the death. I think Roos had another chance to just land on the roof of the net, but yeah, it was a poor show. And I said what I said at the beginning. When the goal went in, I was like, that's a real gut wrench. But then I thought about it and went, and this is the scary thing. I thought about it and went, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on our season. It has no bearing on our final league position, because the title going was a formality. It was just a matter of when it happened, and it so happened that weekend when Man City won at Bristol City. Should have a quick shout out. Commiserations to Bristol City, relegated from the WSL. Hope to see you back soon, guys. You've been amazing. It was a point, and that was it. It was just okay. Well, we had some chances, and we got a goal. It was an equaliser. If we'd been in the title race, that would have been a devastating blow. But it was just like and I think that is the most damning way I could sort of rate our season when something like that happens that has absolutely no effect on us. That's a really bad position to be in. And we can't be in this position next season. We can't be drawing that game next season, but we can't be in a position where we're just sort of locked in limbo almost between between the title and those beneath us. And I think, as you said, Lottie, we're all now just waiting for the season to end. I worry if the players are thinking the same, because it did kind of feel like that on the day.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, it means now that at the minute we're sitting on 44 points. The maximum points we can get this season is 50 points. Chelsea are in second place with 2 points above us, but they have 4 games remaining, 2 in hand, and then obviously the last 2 games. I know they play Liverpool on the
Wednesday.
Yeah, they've got Liverpool midweek, I think, haven't they? They've got the midweek.
Yeah, they've got Liverpool on the 1st of May, which time of recording is then tomorrow for us, because we're recording this on Tuesday. And City are basically sitting 6 points clear of them at the minute on 52, with 3 games to go. No, sorry, 2 games to go. That was incorrect information.
City got 2 games to go.
I would like to thank Arsenal for that incorrect information, because I've just looked at the table and went, hang on a minute, no, because then they'd be playing an extra game ahead of everybody else. But that is all we've got time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. You can catch the pod on VAW Pod on Twitter. Matt, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at MattLR28.
Adam?
You can find me at Adam Salter4, and you can also follow the Arsenal in Archive. Lots of clips being popped up during this month. There was one that came up at time recording today, and there'll be future ones popping up next month, including some FA Cup finals, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that. And that's at the AW Archive.
And you can follow me, Lottie_AWFC, on Twitter and Instagram. You can find out what match days I've been up to across the men's and women's football. But that is all for now. We will be back on Friday night with a special guest, I believe. Adam, is that correct?
Don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see how lucky we are.
Okay. And then we will see you on Friday. Have a good evening, guys.